93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Why he says you should be put at ease. With your Alexa Flash Briefing, I'm Kurt Darling. HHS Secretary Alex Azar says the UK's approval of a coronavirus vaccine should boost confidence in it.
While the FDA completes its review, the approval of another independent regulatory body should give Americans additional confidence in the quality of such a vaccine.
He says vaccines will be the only avenue towards putting an end to the pandemic. In the meantime, some Indiana hospitals are getting ready to become vaccination centers, such as IU Health in Carmel. You still need to quarantine if a close contact tests positive for COVID-19, but maybe not as long as before. Eric Berman explains.
The CDC says if you don't have symptoms and you're not in contact with high-risk people, you can get by with 10 days in quarantine instead of 14. If you test negative, you can cut that back to 7. Health Commissioner Chris Bach says she'd rather people follow the 10-day recommendation to open more testing space for people who do have symptoms. Eric Berman, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
It can be hard to determine if it's the flu or if you have COVID.
Unfortunately, all of the classic flu symptoms could also be COVID. And so things like fevers, body aches, just normal cough and cold type symptoms that come with flu.
Dr. Chris Doring with Franciscan Health advises that you just double check, go get a COVID test, and isolate yourself. Some Republicans are still unwilling to call Joe Biden the president-elect. Chris Davis reports on Senator Mike Braun's reluctance to say President Trump lost the election.
His stance?
Let the president pursue, as he has the right to do, any irregularities that he sees.
Braun says you should look at the commission formed 15 years ago by Jimmy Carter about federal election fraud. He says it has 80 recommendations that cover what happened during this election. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
President Trump's legal actions post-election aren't normal, says James McCann, professor of political science at Purdue University.
Let's remind ourselves, I guess, what a democracy is. And if we were observing this kind of behavior in another country that called itself a democracy, we would be seeing red flags.
McCann says it'll be worrisome if Republicans continue to back the president, even though most of his legal actions have resulted in losses. The feds are drawing the line on people bringing emotional support animals on airplanes. The Transportation Department is now saying that emotional support animals will no longer be considered service animals. The definition of a service animal will now be a dog that's trained to assist a disabled person. Nearly half of Americans are unmarried, according to the latest data from the U.S. Census Bureau.
And Wallet Hub looked at some of the best and worst cities in America for singles. I'm John Herrick. They say Indianapolis and Fort Wayne finished in about the middle of the pack of 182 cities nationwide.
As far as being dateable, I mean, they're certainly much more affordable than a lot of other cities, especially a restaurant meal for two is a lot cheaper.
But Wallet Hub analyst Jill Gonzalez also says dating opportunities are harder to find in Indy and Fort Wayne. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
WIBC's flash briefings are updated throughout the day, so you can always check for the latest local news. You can also rejoin us in the car at 93.1 FM to stay on top of the latest traffic alerts, weather, and news. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on Twitter at 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.